staying current is one of the best things that you can do to protect your environment. You're going to get patches faster, and you're going to get safer sooner.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the InfoSec Beat podcast. I'm your host, Kris Burkhardt, broadcasting from the Nick Rivers Memorial Subterranean Faraday Cage, and my guest this week is Tony Leraris, who leads our infrastructure for our IT group here in Accenture. Tony, welcome to the program. I'm glad to have you here, and I'm excited to talk to you this week about patching.
Thanks, Kris. I've never been to this particular location before. It's great to be here with you.
Well, it's very secret, Tony. Very few people know about the undisclosed location, so I'm glad you could make it. So, Tony, we're going to talk about workstation patching. Can you tell us a little bit about workstations here at Accenture?
Yeah, I'd be glad to. So at Accenture, we have over 400,000 computers that we've deployed to our people. That's a range of desktops as well as laptops, and it's both Windows device and Macs. We have about 14,000 Macs, and the rest are all Windows. We are predominantly Windows 10. In fact, nearly 100% Windows 10 at this point, except for what's on the Mac OS.
Wow, that's impressive. That is a large fleet to keep track of. That must be quite a job keeping those all up to date.
It is, and we've learned over the years that it's incredibly important to be current with our Windows patching to reduce the risk within Accenture.
So when you say current, Tony, tell us a little bit more about that. How current do you keep the fleet? And other than the security risk, I mean, there must be a lot of good reasons for keeping those guys up to date.
Yeah. To answer your first question, we target to have 98% of all the Windows computers within Accenture that are online patched within 5 days of Microsoft releasing patches. And we're just about there. We sort of go between the 95 and 96% range, and that's not how it's been for us. So we've made tremendous progress in our patching. Now, as to why that's really important, the first aspect is, of course, security. We know from viruses like WannaCry and so forth that 57 days after the vulnerabilities were publicly announced, there was malicious code in the wild, and we know that in the future, one day it might be 3 days, might be 5 days. So we need to set aggressive targets to be prepared for when that situation happens. Specifically for me, it's probably important because if I don't do that, I probably won't have a job. When we have these kinds of situations,
you and me both.
I'm the one who's accountable for saying how many computers we have, how many computers we are protected from a particular malicious bit of code, how many are unprotected, and God forbid, how many might be infected. And so for the sake of my own job and my ability to support my family, I think it's incredibly important, as I think it would be for anybody who's in a position similar to mine.
Well, Tony, thank you for making sure that we all stay safe and retain our jobs. So, from a user perspective, sometimes these patches can be kind of annoying. I'll say, right? We've all seen the pop-ups and whatnot. But what advice would you give to users about their role in keeping their workstations secure and up to date for patching?
Yeah, I would tell people, what they read about in the press is real, and that the risks to themselves, their data, their customers, their clients, families is all real. And it is important to understand what a Windows patch notification might look like. And it's really important to restart your PCs and restart your PC on a regular basis. This, of course, would help the performance of your computer, and you might have a more satisfying experience as a user. But it is also what will protect you, because when these patches are applied to your machine, a restart is required for it to take effect. Rebooting regularly is really, really important. And there will be times that patches may be installed on your machine, you don't know about it. By restarting your machine, you get the benefits of it.
That's great. So I think we understand that, and yeah, I think it's good to hit that message that restarting really is is what keeps you safe, because these patches can't do their job if you don't let them, and that's how you let them. Shifting gears a little bit, so you said we've done some things to go from, a much lower patch speed and rollout to much faster now. Can you talk a little bit more about that? I believe there's been some analytics and some networking and a couple of things involved to make that a reality.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of things that we've done to make that a reality. Some things I would highlight is, number one, on our patching infrastructure, we significantly built up our capacity so that we could deploy patches faster. We do things like peer-to-peer technology to help get patches to workstations without clogging up network pipes. We've stayed really current on our patching infrastructure, taking advantage of all the new features that the vendors provide and really evaluating those things. And then we have invested in our analytics platform so we could really understand the state of the fleet, so that we could understand machines that maybe weren't getting patched in our target time frame. We could put those into certain reason codes, and we could address the root cause of that. And what we have been able to do is seen a marked improvement in patching success.
That's great. It's the numbers that you speak about are really impressive with a fleet our size. So when you look ahead and you think about where we are on our technology journey, our journey to the cloud, all those all those future looking fun topics, where does patching go? How do you see it changing as we move into the future?
I think for us, what's really going to be important is patching data becoming much more real time. We have to have a really good understanding of the status of our fleet and the status of what code is on every single endpoint. I envision the day where we'll be able to get updates on that, like real time updates on our entire fleet. Let's say within two hours, 4 hours, whatever. And so that then we can take immediate actions on any risk points we have or threat vectors that are out in the environment and so forth. So for me, the big thing that's going to happen is it's just going to have to get much more real time in order for us to protect our environment.
And we'll look forward to that. Are there any last words of wisdom you'd leave for our listeners?
Yeah, I think it's incredibly important to stay current. I talked a little bit about our Windows 10 journey, and we certainly went fast into Windows 10, but certainly there's going to be times where there's malicious code in the wild, and there's going to be fixes developed for it, and those fixes are going to be available to the people, companies, computers, whatever metric you want to use there, for the people that are on the newest software, newest operating system. Staying current is one of the best things that you can do to protect your environment. You're going to get patches faster, and you're going to get safer sooner.
I think that's great advice. And cherished listeners, I would encourage you all to follow. Tony's got some great ideas there, and you should adopt them. So with that, I'll say thank you to Tony. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for your words of wisdom.
It's my pleasure. I'm sure this will be the highest rated podcast you've ever had, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
Thank you very much, Tony, and thank you all for tuning into the InfoSec Beat. Until next time.